You should see my underwear collection. I've long departed from anything cute. It's full on Granny 5000s, and I am standing by my parachute panties for the rest of my life.
I think a baggy panty, there's something sexy about that.
Wait, not baggy, Esther. Just fully
Just like
full support,
butt
high
coverage.
waist, full butt cover. Yeah, full butt coverage.
Okay, I like to buy my panties like a few sizes too big, just to be different.
Just if they might slide down in your pants while you're wearing them.
Just so they get lost.
Hanging by the crotch.
Yeah. No, there's something cute about that aesthetic.
Yeah, I think you like the aesthetic of diapers, right? That's your vibe.
I like the boy underwear, like boxer shorty, not boxer.
Those
short, but
are-
like boxer brief.
If it doesn't have a cotton gusset, I'm
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Because then it's like
Then
he's
why would you-
Put that on my tombstone. If it doesn't have a cotton gusset, I'm out.
Guess what does have a cotton gusset? All of Skim's everything.
I know.
Oh, really?
This is how I know Kim K
sounds-
has the beasties
Yep.
often.
Yep.
She understands the importance of a cotton
gusset.
Yeah. Katie, thank you for being here.
Of course.
I think you're amazing, and your videos have on many occasion helped me not unalive myself.
Oh,
That's
so much so soon.
But my first question to you is, little Esther over there has a fascination for being in diapers.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Again, too much too soon. Just met.
Put that on your tombstone.
and I want to get to the bottom of why she
Likes to be.
So you invite the therapist on to just fully break me down
Yes.
and figure things out.
Yeah.
I have way more questions than just the diapers for to
diapers is
unlock.
pretty simple.
Okay.
I mean, can be. Any abuse?
No, well, I don't actually like diapers.
You like to have people wear them, or you like to wear them?
I definitely am stuck in childhood in a lot of ways. I think that's more what the situation is when she says diapers, right? Is that what you mean? Or do
Well,
you-
no, I think that what was the threat the last time that you just wanted to be in diapers and not have to go to the restroom for a couple days?
A couple days.
What was it, Esther?
I feel like
This early bloodbath episodes.
I look, I've evolved a lot in the last 2 years. So I would say that I'm not necessarily looking to be in diapers right now. I think next question.
Hi, Sluggies. I'm so happy we have such an amazing show today. It's very fun. You can catch me on my solo podcast called Annie Wood. It's on YouTube every Thursday. I live stream chat with everyone on the YouTube. So if you go to that when it premieres at noon Eastern or 9 Pacific, you can chat with me and I'll see it for the first time with you. I also am on the road and I love meeting you guys more than almost doing the stand-up, to be honest. I love it so much. You can see me in Dania Beach, Florida this weekend, February 3rd and 4th, or next weekend. Washington, D.C., February 24th and 25th. Seattle, Washington, March 10th and 11th. Tampa, Florida, March 17th and 18th. I'll then be in Toronto, Raleigh, North Carolina, Salt Lake City, and a bunch of other dates. Go to annieletterman.com/shows. Come meet me. It's the best.
Miami, get tickets. We're doing stand-up. EstherOnIce.com. I will see you soon.
You like to be taken care of?
I love to be taken care of.
That's what I was going to say. It's almost like the emotional neglect of childhood like bleeds into adulthood. So you might go out looking for guys, girls, people to like take care of you.
Definitely. Yes, I'm realizing that I think I was emotionally neglected because I always say that like my parents kept me safe, but like
Like
that
on
was
paper.
it.
Yeah.
Like, and I love them and we're super close now, but why is it like starting out with my like this trauma? But no, I think like another thing that I've realized, because I host a solo podcast and my like ethos for that is it's for people who spent the best years of their lives alone in their room. And like that's me. Like I feel like, and that's why I'm a creative person is because so much of my life I was just like by myself in my room with my Lion King figurines and like my stuffed animals, and then it became my Britney Spears posters and and my CDs. So I don't know that I view it as a bad thing, because it's like, yes. The other thing though is like, then I see how adults interact with children, and I'm like, whoa, this is so different. Like,
than the way you were raised.
Yeah, it's like they're included in conversations. And like, also, the first time I went out to dinner with my fiance and his parents, he's like a funny guy, and he was just kind of just being himself, and his parents kept laughing at the things he said. And I will never forget the way I felt. I was like, I didn't know it was physically possible for parents to find their child funny. That was like I was like, that's not like literally physically impossible, because you're just their kid.
Oh, that you would think that you were so much less.
Yes.
Was it kind of like the like be seen not heard type of generation or thing? Or-
It wasn't like that, because I definitely am not shy, or like I don't hide.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more just like, exist over there and do whatever you want.
Yeah, just don't bother us.
Yeah.
So you didn't like get to participate with your parents?
Not really. Another thing while we're here is these are just like another thing is I saw a commercial once for family game night. It was like a Hasbro commercial. And I was like, what? There's a thing called family game night? And I was like, I felt so much FOMO. I was really upset.
Are you an only child?
I'm a half only child. I have a half older sister.
So that doesn't really count. You didn't like grow up together. No, I'm just saying like you didn't have a sibling that like you
She was there, but 7 years older, and wanted nothing to do with me, wouldn't let me in her room, said
So
that
you
I
didn't have a sibling.
couldn't go in her bed because I would get my dead skin cells on it. I have been very...
Is she like a germaphobe?
No. And then
Hi.
even my sister, I'll see her kiss her children, and I'm like, you allow their germs? I get like...
Esther, let me hold you.
Like,
Hence why she wants to be taken care of.
Yeah, you know what? I will change your nappies all day long. That is a vow.
thank you. That's why I'm so drawn to you, because I do think you have like
You're mothering.
caregiver
Hence the
energy.
dog rescues.
Yeah, look,
And you're
any
warm.
time of the day.
Yeah.
Any time of the day you need your nappies changed, I'm there.
Thank you.
That is a friendship vow.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel very vulnerable right now, but I also like it. So,
Of course. And then you get a little attention too.
Yeah. Yeah.
People act like attention's a bad thing, but we all need it. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just you didn't get enough at all as a kid.
Mhm.
So you probably need more now as an adult.
So now I'm sick. Now I'm unwell, and I host this podcast.
You're not unwell.
Thank you.
You're just doing your best with what you got.
Yeah.
That's what we all do.
I think I'm on the extreme end of that, where it's like helicopter tiger mom parent.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I didn't have any freedoms to do anything. I couldn't take a nap. Like everything was dictated.
Mhm.
Where it was just always in my shit. The way what I ate for breakfast, everything down to like the last morsel. Like everything was just so controlled.
Mm-hmm.
But then still very emotionally neglected. So it's like same kind of.
Yeah, just different versions, like more like physical neglect. And then people don't realize how abusive or toxic helicopter parenting can be too, because people are like swing from extreme. And I'm like, actually be in the middle. Like kids need independence.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, then we try to control things on our own. Eating disorders, self-injury, things like that, because you don't feel like you have any control. Whereas Esther was like, nobody cares. I just do whatever.
Yeah. And
that
like,
feels unsafe also.
I think also a part of it was my mom is Finnish, and that culture, like they're quiet and they're just kind of like, so I feel like I was able to just do anything, and my mom was just like, okay, well, here's your cereal that you asked for, and I don't know, it's whatever. But your thing of like someone giving you these rules to follow and live by, I'm almost like, oh my God, I would have loved that structure and discipline, even though I don't think that's true, but there's like a voice inside of me that's like, oh, I want that. In fact, when the show Alone Together, when it got picked up, someone was like, what if the network asked you to lose weight or like control your body? And I remember my first interaction was like, I would love a corporation to tell me what to do with it. I was like, I would
The structure.
feel so valued if someone gave me a specific assignment like that. That would feel
seen.
Yes, and I would feel useful and loved.
Overseen is a thing too. I was spoon-fed until I was 13. I was not allowed to hold my own utensils.
That's really crazy. Is that true?
It is true. You call my mom because she had to ration out our food because I was the prize goat in the family. I was part of the swim team since I was like a really, really young kid, and I brought in money. So my sister and I, well, more so me, but I was not allowed to hold my own utensils because she didn't trust me to finish the food on my plate, which was usually a mound of pork chop and then eggs and then rice and then 6 tomatoes and then a big glass of milk. And I'm like, my 10-year-old body cannot consume all of this. And if I would vomit it out, another plate on the table.
What?
Yeah, she would control the calories. She was also a competitive bodybuilder. So like that kind of
put onto you.
Yeah. So are you sure about the corporation?
Right. No, what you're explaining is really serious. Like that is very severe.
Yeah. Well, Katie knows. She knows a lot about my trauma because we've talked about it.
Yeah. I didn't realize that though. I mean, eating disorder stuff makes sense then.
Yeah, I have problem. The eating disorder in my early 20s was mostly just trying to I just was kind of rendered useless, right? I didn't know how to do anything for myself.
Or even given the opportunity to try.
Yeah.
Because kids need to try. Like we need to try to do things on our own, and fail or not, we have to learn, right? That's like growth. That's how you become a human, an adult.
Right. And the overwhelming feeling that I got most of my childhood was I cannot wait to have autonomy so I can take a nap. All I wanted was to take a nap. Like to just be like, oh, I want to fall asleep whenever I want to fall asleep, wake up whenever I want to wake up. And that was the dream for me as a child.
Wow.
So
how come it wouldn't let you nap? Because you were arguably like working harder because you were probably practicing all the time. And
this is what I wanted to ask you. Is there this trauma just like, if it's something where a child is just overworked, like I feel like I don't want to do, my bandwidth is very low as an adult. Like I can do one thing a day and then I'm exhausted.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons. First of all, have you gone to the doctor recently? Because vitamin D, if that's low.
Yeah, so I've checked all of that.
Okay.
I'm kind of maybe slightly anemic.
Is that energy also?
Right. Thyroid levels are good. Everything else is good. And I just feel like, do you ever just feel like, okay, one thing, that's enough? Like that was my big productive thing and then I'm done.
I do. I know what you mean. But when I think back to myself feeling that way, it's because something was wrong. And it's like, whether it's like, for me, it's usually like physical energy or the way I'm eating, and or like you also recently went through a big breakup. I feel like that could be having profound effects on your life in ways that you maybe don't even have a clue, right?
I have clues.
Okay.
Big clues. Yeah.
Well, their energy sucks, especially when we put ourselves out there, whether that's online or in performance or whatever, because then what I find, even personally being online for like 10 years, is like the amount of feedback you receive from people that you don't care about.
Right.
I don't know them. They don't know me. But, it's not normal for us to receive that much.
What happens to people? Like, okay, what happens to me and Esther and Annie to receive like a constant barrage of that kind of feedback? It's unsolicited. Some of it we appreciate, of course, because this is the bed we made and we understand that, it comes with a territory that people are going to remark on your character, who they think you are, blah, blah, blah. But what happens is, are there studies done to kind of figure out in the long run what happens to this new wave of us?
I even want to interrupt you and say that it's not Esther, Annie, Khalyla. It's everybody,
yeah,
including Katie.
Yes, everyone who makes a TikTok, every TikToker I follow, and eventually on my For You page, there's a video of them being like, everyone hates me, like everyone in today.
I follow a farmer because I love animals, and Mommy Farmer, my favorite on TikTok. And she wakes them up every morning and feeds them. And she was crying once on TikTok because she was receiving so much hate. And I was like, who the fuck hates Mommy Farmer? Like she legitimately does not. But everybody gets it. Like it. And I don't know. I mean, there is current research about the effects of social media on us as a whole, but I don't think it's from the perspective of us, people who put it out there. I think it's from the perspective of kids growing up with it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like
because
the
I mean,
youth.
there is even a huge difference between some like a musician and an actor, because the feedback is going to be about their craft, not who they are, not their character. But when we podcast and we share a little bit about our life, the people we love, the animals, everything about it, it feels very personal, and there is like a parasocial nature about podcasting where people feel not only entitled to kind of like owning a piece of you, but my voice is in their ear, has been in their ear for the past 10 years. So there is kind of this weird, like, possessive nature about the type of fan that they are.
Or feeling like they know you more than they do. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think people do think because if they've been listening to you for 10 years, they feel like they know more about you than they probably do because of that, like, that parasocial. It's almost, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like because you share a little, they can extrapolate, and then they think they have the full story, or they think they really know about your relationship, but nobody really knows except for you and the person in the relationship.
Right.
Like, even when my best friends go through divorces or breakups, I don't really know what it was like for them.
Right.
Like, I'm with them, you know, like supporting, but I'm not in the relationship.
Right. And also, like, I can sit here and speculate what's going on between Britney Spears and Madonna. And like, I have all my ideas, but even just through knowing how little people really know about our truths, it's like, I don't know anything about Britney Spears and Madonna,
Oh,
but
totally.
I think I do. And I won't stop thinking that I do, but I don't.
Are you? But you're not trolling either.
No, that's different. Totally. But I always, lately, I really try, this is so weird, but I try to relate to the trolls. I try to put myself in their shoes because I'm trying to figure it out. And it has helped me because I put myself in the shoes of like, what would make me comment this on someone's video? And it's like, that would be sad. It would be really sad if I was doing that. And I can picture the place in my life, and that has helped me a little bit.
Well, yeah, it never comes out of like love or joy or excitement for life. A troll comment comes out of like, I don't feel good about who I am. Because think about how much pain or upset or frustration you must feel for it to spew out to others. Like, I remember I had this like horribly shitty time in my life when, long story short, I went to Pepperdine, paid for my own school, and my mom's family had money, and her dad was like, I'll loan you, not give it, loan you with interest to help pay for your school, because I only got like half of it through scholarship. So it was like $16,000 a year.
With interest?
So generous. Anyway, R.I.P. Grandpa. Anyway, he offered to like pay. And then my second year, he got a little like senile. And like 3 weeks before school was supposed to start, he's like, I'm not paying for it anymore.
Oh my God.
So I had to withdraw. And so I went to community college to keep up with my units. But like, fuck me. Like, I was so like, you know, like, what am I doing? I don't know where am I going? You know, just like life in upheaval. And I was like 19. And it was like the darkest, shittiest time in my life. And I feel like that's where those people have to be. Like, where they don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know who they are. They're like in the deep. But then even then, I don't think I would leave a comment because I just feel so bad about like hurting someone, even though I was hurting. Do you know what I mean? I just don't think I have it in me. But I think that whenever I think of like, where would they have to be in their life? That's where, like,
Yeah.
And back to your question, which maybe this is what you were angling for, because it's what I would want to know, is like, what is this doing to us? What do we do? And this is kind of, it's for everyone who exists online. Like, do you have advice on how to cope with the constant influx of negativity, but then positivity? And also, I love doing this because it's how I express myself, and it's how I connect to others and relate to others. And
I know it's hard. Best advice, I mean, I'll speak personally, like as a creator, and then I'll talk more like therapist-y. But as a creator, I think the best thing I've done is create safe spaces, which it sounds bad to say this, but like a paywall. Like, I'm on Patreon a lot, and that has like saved me, because for people to put money up, they're not gonna shit talk you. Like, I've never gotten hate from anybody on Patreon. Those are my people. That's my community. It's like a safe space. So that's great. And I've always loved that.
If our co-hosts were here, she would interject that in COVID, I had a Patreon and I only charged $1.
That's fine.
And it was literally, she would always make fun of me, like, that's your self-worth, which is funny. But my reasoning was I just want people to like put a credit card down and have so that it's safe.
They have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to get a credit card. You also can't be like 12 years old talking shit on the internet. Right? Mom, I want the debit card. Yeah, you can't. So it's a little safety, like $1, $5, just a entry that makes it better. But also limiting what you read. Like, I mean, there's two veins I've seen happen. So I was on the Call Her Daddy podcast, and Alex has she just turns off all her comments. I don't know if you've noticed, like on all her Instagram stuff, because you don't have to, and Taylor Swift does the same. I'm not saying that I'm Taylor Swift, but I'm just saying that like you don't have to allow people to. No one says we have to. Or you just let it ride and you don't read anything, which is more what I do. Just let things ride. You know, I also like on YouTube that you can hold words and stuff so that, because I don't want anybody in my community to be told, just go kill yourself or something, you know?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't mean it's not always just towards me. It can be amongst themselves where they like fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't fight on my behalf and don't, you know.
That must be a different kind of pressure to be a therapist publicly and online. Mm-hmm. Like, is there weird beef in the therapy community?
I mean, not amongst therapists as far as I know. It is a weird, because therapy is like an art, which I know people probably wouldn't agree or think of it that way, but like,
it absolutely
everything is an art.
We're creating something, and as a therapist, you have to like figure out where your patient is. You have to meet them there, and then you have to help guide them out to a better place, right? So like every person is a little different, and the questions you're going to ask is a little different, and you're trying to work with them so they feel comfortable, right? So it's like this weird dance that you do. And so of course not everybody's going to like me. First of all, I don't have the experience that a lot of people are going to want. Like maybe don't look the way people want me to look. Like I remember I posted a video of me getting a tattoo, and people were like, therapists don't have tattoos. I was like, then don't see one who does. You know, like,
what a concept.
I know. Oh my God. So people have opinions about everything, but yeah, they have a lot of judgments around like I would have done this. I'm like, good, fucking go to school and get your license then. And then tell me how, you know, like good for you. Yeah. I don't know. So the feedback is hard, but I just limit my digestion of it. And then as a therapist, I've always told my patients, like, pay attention to who you follow and what you follow online, like what you allow yourself to read. And if you feel worse after, don't follow those people. And if they're friends and you're like, oh, they're gonna be offended, then mute them. Mm-hmm. Like mute with love. It's not because we don't like them. It's like, I always tell people it's not about them. It's actually about me. It's like, I can't watch your content or see you doing these things and not feel upset either about my life, my relationships, where I'm at, what I'm doing. So I'm not going to watch it, like it, anything.
I saw this thing recently where I think it was actually the founder of Liquid Death was on a podcast, and he talked about like, which is everyone knows this, but it's like, if you make a product or you are a thing or a podcast or whatever, and people love it, if people love it, there will also be people who hate it, and there's no escaping it. And that I find to be very freeing. It also, like, there's so many things like this, like in marketing, they say, or advertising, there's like this famous saying, I can't tell you how to have success, but I can tell you how to fail. Try to please everyone.
Oh, 100%. You can't please everyone.
And so I have found solace in these concepts of like, great, people are going to hate me no matter what. So I'm just going to like be so true to who I am so that the right people come, and the wrong people will still come, but I will at least know that I'm myself. I don't know. Does that resonate or help you? I'm curious.
Yeah, but it's a little bit harder for me to get there because I'm definitely codependent, and I've spent my whole life chasing the affection of my mom, or validation, or praise, or an I love you, or a good job. So like I find that I seek that also in like other people a lot. So like when I put something out and people are like, you're ignorant and you're dumb and you're a dumb gold digger, it's like, wow, I couldn't please Jack from Missouri. Like I must like be really a terrible person. This is in the beginning. But now I'm finally getting to the place of believing that thing you said.
I had I don't know if this resonates with you guys, but recently I had like this epiphany where I'm like a soft person. I'm definitely a people pleaser, and that's like my own therapeutic work, because therapists should be in therapy. We can't fix ourselves. It's not like giving myself a haircut. That'd be awesome if I could, but I can't. Anyway,
there are people that do, and I see them. I'm like, how?
I know
They do the ponytail thing.
I can't even wax my own eyebrow. That's a disaster. Like I just pay the people to do the things they know how to do. I'm not that person.
I tried giving myself bangs in college, and my mom wouldn't speak to me for 6 months. I gave myself a mullet.
I have an unhealthy obsession with watching people cut their hair on TikTok, because it's going to be bad. They like pull it so straight, and I'm like, oh, honey. It's like, this is the length I want it. I'm like, it's going to bounce up. It's not even dry. That shit's wet. It's going to be bad. You're like, you just watch it and wait.
But you were saying you were a soft person.
Yeah. So I'm definitely like a softer people pleasy type person.
Yeah.
And I realized being online had made me like incredibly hard, and I didn't like that about myself. And
I can relate to that.
because I liked that I was like soft, and I'm a feeler, and I can like sense things, and that I thought that made me.
Hi, Ani.
Hey.
Hello. Filler. Hey, give me a titty.
Oh my goodness.
Hi.
Right up.
Hi,
Nice to
Katie.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, girl.
Hey, Annie.
I'm late.
You're fine.
Are those gifts?
I mean, kind of. I throw my stuff in here, but I wanted you guys to try these chips. Have you ever tried them?
Oh yeah, I eat those all the
They're
time.
fucking delicious.
What?
Chicken and waffles. The
They're
buffalo
like-
one.
They're chicken. Are you vegetarian?
No.
They're made with chicken.
And then no judgment for vegetarian. I felt like
I
judgment, but I was like,
fucking nerds.
I was like, I eat everything.
They're made with
Steak.
it's protein chips, but with a little bit of tapioca.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And they taste
delicious.
Like, this is the weirdest thing. Do you want to try them?
Not right now, but I will definitely later.
You'd love them, Esther, because they're just protein chips.
No, I know. I've been wanting to try those. Caroline is obsessed with them. But I'm not a waffle as a
It's
flavor.
so, it's like the
that one's so
weirdest.
It's probably just like sweetness.
Will this help you? Whitney told me about that.
I do love chicken.
Really? Wait, I want to. You were saying that you're soft, but it's made you.
I like thinking my skin made me hard, and I realized that I didn't like that. Like I didn't like what being online for 10 years had done to me. Like because I was kind of like, I was more protective, and I like wouldn't read things. And then if anybody was even going to give me constructive feedback, I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I'm out. I'm all feedbacked up. Thanks.
Yeah.
Got way too much feedback. And so it was like a couple months ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to let myself like just be. And if I want to cry about something, I'm going to cry about it. If I want to feel, I'm going to feel. Still working at it because it feels to be vulnerable online. I hate because I don't like that people can get at me, you know, but I realized I didn't want to lose that part of myself. It wasn't worth that cost.
I really relate to that.
Yeah.
I think of all the things I can relate to that the most because I do think I'm a softie.
Mm-hmm.
And just having done this for so long, you cannot help but be prickly and
Yeah.
your defenses up.
Mm-hmm. I call
And
it
even
puffer
to
fishing.
people who are being perfectly nice to you, you're always like, ooh, like, what is that?
Mhm.
What are you saying?
what do they want
you?
from me?
What
Or
do you
what do you-
want? Yeah.
Well, it's hard too with like, are we talking about comments?
Yeah.
Just
with,
in
like,
general.
Because you just don't know like who a comment is. So there's so little information behind the person who's giving you the comments, you know, especially on YouTube. It's like, you can't really like, if you click on them, you don't get, it's not like there's like a bio that really tells you much about them for the most part. It's like, so it's like, I don't even know what you
coming
are.
from but we were asking Katie earlier, like what happens, like what is the long-term effects of being exposed to the public in this way and in a very like parasocial way,
yeah.
where people aren't attacking your craft, they're attacking you,
Yeah.
who they
Like
think
thinking they
you
know you.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was making that realization as to like how unusual it is that the amount of access we have to random videos of mass shooting news and comments of people saying they hate you. That was a big driving force in why I started taking Lexapro, because I was like, wait, I know for a fact that I have not, my humanness is not evolved to handle this shit.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, being aware of that, do you have any tools or helpful thoughts on like how to cope while we deal with these things that we're very much not evolved to deal with?
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of things we can do. And you're right. Like we shouldn't be this connected to trauma, right? Like shared trauma. Like it's so easy. I remember, I forget when this was. It was like a few years ago where like a girl was like drunk driving with her little sister in the car and they got in this horrible accident. Her sister died. And you're like watching it. She was live streaming it. And I was
shit.
like, what the actual fuck is happening?
Oh, like last week, that guy was on Facebook Live when the Nepalese plane went down.
Yeah,
and
it's like-
killed 72 people. And he was like, look, we're about to land. And then boom, I see the flames. And I'm like, I did not want to watch that video. It was just on the news. There wasn't like a warning for anything. I was like, oh, I just saw someone just go up in flames.
Yeah, I've seen like life leave people's bodies on the internet. It's so fucking weird. I'm like, I just saw your soul leave.
Right?
What the
I'm like,
hell?
I'm not an EMT for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, I can't
Yeah.
tolerate.
Fucking crazy.
It's too much.
I like your little Wednesday Adam arms.
Thank you.
Cute. Yeah, it's weird anyway.
Yeah, no, you're fine. But to that point, like, because it's so accessible, I'm like, I don't want to see life leave people's bodies.
Yeah.
Like, blah, blah. The best thing we can do is limit exposure. So I know it sucks to feel like you're not informed, but like sometimes being informed just means like traumatized. So maybe I won't be informed. So there's that. And then also weird things you can do that like reset your nervous system. So, you can feel like tingles in your fingers when you're like stressed or like tense or like your breathing is shallow. Like stomp your feet a little, shake your hands out. It like triggers your nervous system to release that pent up energy. Because the way our bodies are like, not to get too nerdy, but the way that they're built is our nervous system is made to look in our environment for threat. And then if it sees a threat, it's like, okay, do I fight, flight, freeze, fawn? Like, what do I do? How do I manage this? But if we're threatened and there's no way, we can't do anything with it. This threat is like our world, like what? Then we freeze and all that energy just courses through, which feels like anxiety.
Yeah.
It can feel like that, like I can't catch my breath.
I don't know how to turn my fucking watch off.
I don't understand my Apple Watch
Why-
either, and I
what
hate
is it? There's one button.
I hate
Like,
it.
How is there one fucking button for the fucking thing?
Mine goes off. It'll be like,
And then like
get
another
up.
thing
I'm like,
shows up. I'm like, that's not what. Oh, now I need a passcode. It's been on my fucking wrist the whole time. Okay, that's not my passcode. Okay, I don't know what my passcode is. Carlos, fix it.
Mine buzzed me at 5 a.m. It's like, you need to get up. I was like, you need to shut the fuck up.
You need to go back to analog, baby.
Oh, I love your watch.
Thank you.
The thing about all of this, like that we're these like, that we haven't gotten the upgrade yet from our like prehistoric days when we were cavemen is so funny because I know that it's like when you're having like social anxiety is from when you were like, because if you got excommunicated, your life was in danger, right? If you got excommunicated from your tribe back in the day. But it's just funny that you can go into fight or flight if someone like calls you a fat bitch online. He's like, when are we gonna I'm ready for the upgrade.
Right?
So
Like, they're
pathetic.
going to excommunicate me. I can't be
I'm
with it.
about to die. I'm about to freeze in the snow because I have no body heat to like. I have no one to spoon now.
Right? No one to help me forage.
I'm like, come on, I'm a fat bitch. Don't you want to hug me in the snow?
I think it is so funny, like perceived threats, like even in the form of words. I'm like, this is really going to dictate my day.
Right?
I'm just going to be like sweating in a corner at home, like caring so much. It's
I
really
know.
quite pathetic if I were to just zoom out a bit and be like, oh, look at Khalyla over there.
Well, also like as a comedian, like I started my first sort of exposure to an audience was with Opie and Anthony, the like
Oof.
shock jock.
Yeah.
So all my first fans were people that were just like thought that the way to show love was to just completely roast you. So people were like, look at those bug bites. It was always about how small my tits were. I was like, never. And then I would be self-deprecating. And then they would do it back. It was just like crazy. I'm like, oh my God. And then I gained weight and now they're bigger. So never can really say that.
Joke's on you.
Sorry.
I have a question. Is it possible that a person, maybe me, I'm exploring this theory. Is it possible that I could have maybe been living the past 10, 15 years in a state of PTSD?
Yes. Like in freeze or in.
I
like,
don't know.
Well, she thinks she's a dog. Tell her about Jacob.
Annie, don't go hard. We went over her diaper use.
She was like, this is too much too fast.
I'm just curious, like, is that even...
That was episode 1 too, by the way, of our
The diaper or Esther as a dog.
I think dog was like 10th episode.
When I was little, I wanted to be a dog, and I made my family call me Jacob, and I only ate out of bowls off the floor. It was because I met a dog named Jacob who I was really drawn to and wanted to become him.
Did you have a chat and you guys shook hands and stuff? And he was like, nice to meet you.
How long did that last? Just like a week.
She's taking it seriously.
Not that long.
She still sleeps in a crate.
I don't know how
That
long.
therapist voice.
She's crate trained.
She's crate trained.
She was really cool too. She was like the cool kid. That picture of you when you're little is so funny.
Which one?
One one you posted that is just like, you're obviously like in charge. It's like, everyone's like around you.
Was that
It's
the
this whole
Jake?
picture, but it's really just a picture of Esther with other classmates near her.
Wait, was that the Jacob era?
No, that was probably a little after Jacob, I'm thinking.
I can't tell. It could have been like kindergarten
All the
or
same
10th
you.
grade,
Yeah.
just with the way you have aged.
But like I don't, this was just a random theory that popped up in my head because I basically like, I'm trying to really figure shit out and like upgrade my brain software. And I'm like, oh, is getting dumped in high school, did that like make me have really severe anxious attachment that then like I've had for the last 15 years?
I mean, it could have triggered it. I think it's probably because your parents were emotionally neglectful without realizing it.
Okay.
And like the biting, people don't talk about this enough, but because they're like, oh, kids do that. No, children who are neglected do that.
Oh my God.
And it's not like there's a direct correlation, but whenever I hear someone bit as a child, it's abuse is like the red flag. Like, because there's things as a therapist that you're like, oh, that's a little red flag. Like if a child starts wetting the bed again after they were potty trained, that's a red flag. But stress can
In
do
other
it.
ways.
That's why you need the cotton,
The gusset.
the cotton gusset.
I need to catch the goop. Yeah, I
You need
do.
the cotton gusset.
Do you guys mind if I just really quickly, I know she's at work, but if I just call my mom and ask her about
Can
the
I fill
bike-
her in while you're calling on some things?
Sure.
Esther just starred, and made a movie about this breakup in high school. She's obsessed with
Just
it.
to be clear, I'm 34.
It won't sound like that, but she is.
Where is this bitch?
She's neglecting you.
Yeah.
Triggered. Freaking out.
You had a cage. Esther had a like
Breastfeed
crate
me.
thing. You know?
I got you.
Kids have, you know.
Nipples are hard to find. They're a little on the pink side, but
One of her childhood memories is like white knuckling the like
gate.
child gate. Like
Not in memory, but I just, my parents have told me that when they would wake up in the morning, I would be asleep hanging onto the gate.
Oh.
what was
That's
the
so
gate?
funny that they
sad.
bring it up. My parents are like, we don't remember that. Like, why are you bringing that shit up?
Oh, they like gaslight you. They're like, that's not what happened, Annie.
Or
You're
they're just
remembering
like,
it wrong.
We don't go there. I'm like, oh, okay.
No, but I think it's neglect.
Yeah.
I mean-
think, and I do think I only bit someone once. That's why I want to get the tea from my mom. And I just remember she just, the way she says it, she was like really embarrassed and then it never happened again.
Because she was humiliated. Is that why?
Maybe.
Well, it didn't get you what you were wanting, probably.
Yeah.
Like children act out in the only ways they can. So a lot of it's like relationally, like the biting or like picking fights or being the perfect kid. Like I was that. I was like trying to be like, if I'm the best, then everybody will like me and it will all be good. And like that's super toxic too, you know? So like it's funny to think that the kid that's getting like straight A's is just as like messed up as the kid who's like the class clown.
Yeah.
That
You
is
know?
crazy.
It's just different way. It's like coping. We're just dealing with like what tools do we have?
Is there a way to not get fucked up by your parents? Like, is there like a way?
Yeah.
You're like, are we going to be terrible parents or impart trauma on our kids as well? Like,
That's such
I mean,
a
possibly.
wild question.
you know, like probably.
I think we all pass on things whether we want to or not.
Yeah.
And like behaviorally, you can pass on like symptoms of trauma because of the way you react to the world, right?
I'm going to quickly interrupt because she's calling back. Mom.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm recording the podcast. Did I bite
Hey,
other
girl.
children?
Yeah, you did buy one.
But what happened?
It was at a play group, a mom and dad's play group, and a little kid, I guess, came down the slide, and you wanted to go up and you bit him in the cheek.
Oh my God, the cheek. Vicious.
Was that during my Jacob era?
Oh yeah, it must have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love how she just answers this. Like,
What else was I doing in the Jacob era?
Well, you were biting everyone except me.
Aw.
interesting.
Anything else?
No, that's all I remember.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Bye, I love you.
Just randomly asking about your mom's so nice to just be like, no, I think this.
She is the real comedic genius somehow. That's what I'm slowly realizing.
Your dad too. They're both so funny.
This weekend, Dave, my fiance, we were in New York and we were talking about September 11th, and Dave was telling my mom how he watched the towers fall from his rooftop, and my mom, like he told this like his New York 9/11 tale. And my mom, he says, like, we watched it fall. My mom goes, well, I hope you covered your mouth. I'm like, because of the bad air. I'm like, I don't think he did. Like, what the fuck? It's funny to me.
That's a strange response, Mom.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that must have been hard. Is a better answer.
I hope you covered your mouth. So rude.
Wow.
Sorry, we interrupted.
No, you're fine. But like the biting and stuff, it's interesting you didn't bite your mom. I wonder if she was the one that you wanted the attention from the most.
I'm looking at you, Khalyla.
Did she use a spray bottle to like curb the habit?
Or a thing with like a can with pennies in it.
Oh, yeah, you shake. Yeah.
That is so interesting, Esther. I wish I knew you at this age because I had a pet Noodle. Remember, I didn't go through a Jacob era, but I went through a time where I felt so lonely as a child that I tied a string to a chow mein noodle and I named him Jerry, and he followed me everywhere. Like I would take him on plane rides because I would to swim meets.
Did it rot?
I was just gonna say, would it break?
One day my sister had enough and she just smushed Jerry. She was like, enough, boom. It was just a smashed noodle, and then it could not be tethered to a rope anymore or a string.
Did you get another noodle? Or were you?
No, I was heartbroken, Jerry. And then as an adult, I was not gifted. I rescued a boa, and then I named him Jerry in honor of my noodle, Jerry.
I'm imagining like a feather boa and not like I don't have any real pets.
Not a
If I hadn't met your dogs, I would be like, I bet this bitch just has stuffed animals and fishes on them.
I'm like so attracted to you after the noodle story.
And before it. Do you see I did it? These are the most comfortable things I've ever had in my life. Get them, everybody. Children, get them.
Platforms?
Yeah, she's had them forever.
I really relate to that. And I also remember in middle school, I was wondering if you could have a sperm as pets. And I would like ask I would ask guys.
They're like, no, the sperm's it's bigger than you, Esther. Listen, you're not going to be able to keep it under control.
Like I really wanted a guy to give me like his sperm in a cup so I could like see them.
How old are you?
Middle school.
Middle school.
Old or young?
No, I'm just surprised that you were so interested in sperm.
That is so mean.
But did you have the friend? I feel like we've talked about this on here, but did you ever have the friend that was like really, really, or were you the girl that was like really obsessed with puberty?
No, it was
Like-
never me.
No, I had a friend that was like that.
Yeah, I had a
was
friend in third
terrified of
grade
puberty.
who was just like, all she wanted was the teacher to give us like extra lessons on puberty and growing pubes and
Boobs
periods and
periods.
stuff. Like she was just like, couldn't get enough of it. She loved our bodies ourselves. It was like dog ear at every page.
Oh my God. Tabbed, highlighted.
She did have lesbian moms, which I wonder if she was like just her parents were like very probably
really?
talking to her about a lot of stuff. But I had a lot of friends with lesbian. I was like very confused as a kid, or I guess not confused. I was a lot more less confused than other people. Quaker school.
I recently came across this term. Oh, that's right. I mean,
Did not know this.
Katie, you quite possibly are amongst the most fucked up 7 girls in existence.
Oh yeah, I was just the opener.
Wait till you get to Annie.
A mousse-bouche.
Yeah. This is our charcuterie of all. Like I think we cover all the kinds of trauma possible.
And we're like so not afraid to share. We just give it all.
That's our gift.
But I like
We'll
that
just
though
tell
because it normalizes the reactions. Because kids are doing it whether they want to talk about it or not.
Yeah.
And we often do the things like the noodle, you know, or like wanting to pretend that you're a dog. Like people are embarrassed to talk about it when you're older because you're like, what the hell is wrong with me? You know, no one wants to be like, I'm totally fucked up. I mean, now I guess people say it as a joke, but like in a real way of like, what happened to me?
Yeah, I know,
You
it's
know?
so weird when because I feel like with myself, I was always like, I internalized so much stuff and I took on responsibility for everything that happened to me in my childhood always. And then I hit like, I think it was like around 32 or something. And then all of a sudden I got so mad at everyone else. I was like, wait a second, this was you, like not people, but like, you know, the adults in my life. And I was like, what the fuck? And then now I am able to like disassociate and look at it from like a more like relaxed and forgiving, like a perspective of grace for my parents and for everyone, where you can kind of see where they were coming from. But it's like been quite a roller coaster.
Yeah, and anger is interesting because I went through that phase too. I was like angry all the time because I was like, what the fuck? You know, and like rage. But something that I've learned is like, and I'm still not totally comfortable with anger, it usually comes out that way. Like we're all like stuff it down and then it's like, rah. Is that it's just indicative of you being hurt. Like it's your puffer fish. You're sticking your spines out. Like you said, it's the spiny. It's that protection. Cause you're like, because you were upset.
Yeah.
You're like, what'd you do? Why'd you do this to me?
Yeah.
Why'd you
What
say
the
that?
fuck?
What the fuck was happening?
I'm lucky my parents are like, do their own work on themselves and stuff. And they definitely let me just scream at them a lot. That was really nice of them. Thanks, guys. My bad.
No, it's helpful when your parents do their own work. My mom is in therapy too, and my dad died when I was like 24. But it's been really helpful that she has her own insight, you know, because when she'll come out of the blue and she'll be like, I'm so sorry that I didn't say that to you, or that I did this, or that I didn't divorce your dad early, you know, like all the things that she's like, I should have done it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so impactful to even hear your parents even in my mom, you know, there's a language barrier. English is not her first language, so it's tough for her like to kind of express herself as clearly or as fast as me. But she sent my sister and I a TikTok of a clip of Jane Fonda in an interview saying, it's not that I didn't want to be a good mom, it's that I didn't know how. And that was her way of saying, hey, this is what I'm saying, but she said it like whatever Jane Fonda says. And by the way, my mom made us do Jane Fonda workouts since I was like 6 years old. Like so I thought that was like, I remember looking at my sister and we both just started crying. Like, did you get the text? I'm like, I did. The Jane Fonda one, I did. And I didn't know how to like react to it because I was like, really one of the few times where there's like acknowledgement of saying, okay, like I might have fucked you up.
Yeah.
But it meant so much. And if our parents just knew how much it means.
Tiny little thing, like these little, my mom, I remember she sent me a card when I first moved back to LA. I don't know how long ago it was, like 2016 or something. And she sent me a card that said like love you, my sweet girl. And just her calling me sweet. Cause I had such a story about myself that I was bad. You know, like that was like my core belief was that I was bad. And then I was like, oh, just that like little thing. I just felt so lucky that she said that. And it's like, it's something where I've done a lot of work and like learned a lot of tools to be able to do that on my own without other people, which is great. But it's such a nice little like cherry on top to have the person who like gave you the core wound, give you that little relief, you know?
Totally.
I love hearing these things and like, that's so cool that just her saying that simple
just like
thing,
the littlest thing.
It like affected you. And what I love too about your mom sending you a Jane Fonda video is like, your mom didn't have to, it's really hard to put things in our own words sometimes. And I always think of like, my mom always buys greeting cards. And I'm like, that's actually so wonderful that people can express themselves using other people's work and art. Like, I think that that's an underutilized tool in personal relationships. I'm like inspired to use that.
Yeah.
That's why
And
Hallmark
poetry
will
and
never
stuff.
go out of business. My mom and my stepdad, they will spend 2 hours looking for the right card for the right words because they don't have it.
Right.
And then my mom will always just sign Mountains of Love, Mama. But when I read someone else's words so closely, it's never just a card. And I can never read it in front of her or around people when I receive my birthday gift because I know it's going to bring out a lot of like deep emotion. So I always go to the room after everyone's left and I read it. And I always have like some type of meltdown over it because I know that they were on that aisle for 2 hours looking for, you know, words that match their feelings.
Totally. And I think there was a time in my life where I would like write that off and be like, these are someone else's words. But now I'm like, no, I know that that's a form of expression. Like, and it's, there is real value there that I respect and appreciate.
Go Hallmark.
Yeah.
I love a greeting card. I
funny
know.
poetry. Yeah. I guess I kind of like, I'm like, thanks for the card, guys, you know, but it is nice.
But the sweet girl would get you.
That was, that was good. And then I was able to really like shift my own beliefs about myself. It was really cool.
Yeah. It's cool that you did that, like that inner child work stuff where you like give it to yourself, which I know it sucks and it's never as good to be like, oh, but I'm doing it for me. But then when your mom gave you that little bit of,
it was just a little like extra
it's like a sweetener.
thing,
Because that's really where you want to get it from. But from the therapeutic side, it's like, we can't control
it's just
other
not
people.
reliable. Yeah.
And then they could wound you more.
Yeah.
When you're like, yay.
I came up with like the best thing to do. I don't know if I've talked about it on here before, but the best thing to do when I'm going through a breakup and I'm really missing that person, I always text myself the things that I would text them. Like I'll go like, I miss you, I love you, like all that stuff.
Annie.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
when I've had to go no contact with people, because I know that's what's best for me, but I am physically unable to at times because I'm always like still, I want to know that they're thinking about me. I do the same.
Yeah.
So I open up my notes and everything I want to say to them, I just write in the notes.
Right. Yeah.
And it helps me just get it out there.
Yeah.
I miss you. I love you. I'm desperate for you. I can't stop thinking about you. I want to fucking hurt myself when like everything is on there and it just releases the pressure
Yeah.
just a little bit.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
what?
Because then
I-
it's a safe space.
Yeah.
My little like breakup trick is
To drive by their house and make a movie about it.
for 30 years. Yeah.
Oh, wait, can we talk about that with Katie?
We can, yes. Is like I'd listen to like love happy songs and I always think about it like talking to me.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
in my high school breakup, the one song we were like did a dance to it in my dance school, whatever, and it was "Lovely Day" by Bill Withers, and the lyrics like "just one look at you," and I would like
Yeah.
really be like, these songs are about me.
Yes. Alicia Keys.
It's me.
Alicia Keys, No One. I always like sing that to myself when I was like a drunk like bartender and go-go dancer in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I had like such bad self-esteem. I would like listen to that song and just ride my motor scooter around and just make it like I was singing to myself.
Yeah, like you're a badass in
Yeah.
that moment. The hair, the wind flowing through your hair,
the
tits out.
gravel in my tits. A missing nipple that I lost on a sidewalk.
Annie and I really bonded over that and early on. Like we both had nipple trauma. Her from a scooter and mine from a skateboard. Yeah,
Ooh.
but just,
Yeah.
you know,
Like
living
from a
life.
skater? Just
Mine from
eating it?
a
Yeah.
scooter and yours from a skater. He just spit it right off.
Just did it right off.
I don't know why you were trying to skate and suck my tit at the same time.
But Esther, let's walk down memory lane and talk about
Let's drive by memory lane.
Well, yes. So I think though, like Katie is pointing me in the direction that like, it's not about the breakup. It's about how I was raised. But it is true that I have this very traumatic high school breakup, right? Where like this person was my whole world. Like I had a crush on him for years before we started dating. And it like everything just worked out really magically in this high school relationship. And then it ended abruptly. And I was so just like in shock and all the things that happen when you get dumped. And then we essentially like never spoke again. And I always think that like that's why I have this anxious attachment where I'm like, I think that everyone's gonna leave me and then never talk to me again. And I think it's because like, oh, I'm so annoying and like unlovable. And then there's like a couple things at play, right? Like there's that. And yes, I do drive by his house sometimes, but I also I really do believe.
do you park?
No. Sometimes like
Do you beep?
sometimes if my dad's with us, my dad will be like, he'll like pretend like he's about to get out of the car and say something like, no, like it has to be very incognito.
Oh, my dad would do that shit too.
Yeah.
Hold you like hostage.
But still presently, you still drive by, right?
I haven't lately, but so on the other side of it, I do feel genuinely like part of it is a nostalgia thing. Like I really do, and this is probably another mental illness version, but I love the past. I love revisiting the past. I love learning about just myself through my past. Like I'm really committed to like, I feel like I'm donating my life to art and science this year. It's like, I'm going to be honest and vulnerable. Like, let's figure this shit out. Use me instead of my organs, like use my mind. Like, let's figure this out. And so yes, I do feel like there's a nostalgia there too. Mm-hmm. So I'm like giving myself a little credit there where I'm like, it's not just that I'm obsessed with this guy and I know it's not about the guy anyway. Khalyla, there you go.
I mean, it's not that it's not
so
about
cute.
the guy. It is
cute.
I mean, first loves are interesting. I'd assume he was your first love.
Yeah, totally.
Because we've never experienced something like that before. And so when we come out of our family, especially if there was emotional neglect, so we didn't really feel like our needs were being met, and we find a person who will. And you're like, praise be to whoever. I don't have to go searching anymore. I don't feel so alone anymore. I have this other person. And so that, I call it like the mom or dad wound. You like took this guy and you put him in that wound and you were like, we're all good now.
Yeah.
Like all that work Annie's doing, you were like, I'm just going to put this person in it to fill it.
Wait, that also makes so much sense too, because so when my parents would very rarely go out, and when they did, like my sister would just be the babysitter, and obviously she'd just be alone in her room and like never interact with me. But there's one time where I had a babysitter, and to this day I remember literally every minute of that night. I remember her name. I remember like I had one caramel apple and I was like, I want you to have it. And like, I remember I wanted it so bad. Like I got it from school and I wanted her to have it. I wanted to watch her eat it. And like, she played with me. And like, it was just this most amazing night I've ever had. And I still think about it. And it's like aligning up with that. It was like, oh, she was meeting my needs.
She was mothering you in the way you needed.
Did she end up being allergic to apples and she died? Fucking killed her.
No, but it's really sad.
That would be on brand for our story, not hers.
No, I literally never saw her again. It was like a one night.
A one and done, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is your one night stand?
Yeah.
Your emotional mommy one night stand. Oh my God.
That makes so much sense.
But
Yeah,
so he was around for much longer, more than
Yes.
one night. So imagine the power of that. And then the fact that it was taken from you. The reactive attachment type thing always stems from attachment is our first year of life. So like, yes, it can change and we can work on it and we can heal to have secure attachment, but your attachment's formed from birth to 1 year.
Ooh, shit,
Yeah.
that's early.
Yeah.
Wait, how is that even possible?
It's like everything gets soaked
Because when
into
you cry, they come to
Yeah.
take care of you. When you are hungry, they feed you. When you need to be changed. Like think of like,
But I
what
can't
that
imagine any world where my mom was such a caregiver. Like I know that she took good care of me.
but emotionally is different.
But even in the first year,
They might have let you cry it out,
Yeah.
like Ferberizing and stuff. I'm not saying that's wrong, but for certain children, it doesn't do well. Like, because if you needed more,
If you were at the thing, you were crying.
but
Yeah.
that's not 1 year old. That's
But
like
maybe you were like
7.
that.
But if that's probably a reflection
7.
of
Oh my God.
that could probably
Holy shit, 7? Oh my God, bitch.
Whole time.
Oh my God, I thought you were toddlers. Oh my goodness. Once I was babysitting this kid.
she's like a teenager.
I was babysitting this kid. This is what I feel like I just did to you, and I'm sorry. I was babysitting this kid in Santa Fe when I used to live there, and he was 7. He was in first grade, and he had gone to the bathroom. His mom had left, and he went to the bathroom. He goes, "I'm done," and I went, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "No, I pooped," and I go, "Okay," and he goes, "I'm done. You have to wipe me," and I'm like, "Wipe?" I just remember going, "Wipe you? You're in fucking first grade." I didn't curse or anything, but I was like, "What?" And I just know I must have traumatized this kid. I was like, "Are his fucking teachers wiping his ass?" I'm like, "Oh my God, what's your mom done to you?"
All the children that were babysat by Annie need to come forward.
One's no longer with us.
Call
We
this
love
number.
him. Yeah, no, I am still friends with one of the kids I babysat for. She's so cute. She just got married.
Isn't it crazy? The kids I used to babysit are in college, and I like see them on Instagram sometimes. I'm like, oh my God. I forget how old I am.
Wait, I'm so unlocked right now.
I know.
This is this is good because I've been trying to put these pieces together on my own like recently, and this is great. But I just am shocked by 0 to 1 because
I mean, it continues to form, but that initial attachment.
And then to like, what is it, 7 when your subconscious stops forming or whatever?
Yeah, and then all the way to 18 to when you're like,
Yeah.
your
my
prefrontal
God,
cortex is
guys,
fully.
None of this is my fault.
Wait, can we? Duh. The stuff now is.
I mean, what you do now.
This
yeah.
is really your fault. But what was I going to say to you? Oh, didn't I tell you that I did like rebirthing stuff in my breathwork thing? I went to Costa Rica and did a whole breathwork thing, but we did like a rebirthing thing in a hot spring.
Okay.
It was so cool. But I realized like all of these things from my birth, like these really like specific things that happened when I was little and how much they have impacted my life. So I was born breech. Did I talk about this?
a little bit.
Okay.
But
Did I talk about the
traumatic
breech
birth.
thing?
But you unbreached yourself, right? In the river?
I flipped my ass around.
Look at
In my
you.
memory, I'm just going to flip myself around. I just decided like, this isn't a problem. I just was like, I'm going to just decide there's no problems.
But
my
why?
life.
Why was being that was affecting?
I
you?
was in so I have a twin brother. So my twin brother was born. And so I was with him in the womb for 9 months. And then he was gone. And then for 6 minutes, I was being born. I came up breech. I ingested the pussy juice. Is that the technical name?
Yes.
The PJ. And so then I was in an incubator for 7 days.
PJ&J.
And they could, so then I went from like being so close with my brother and my
To
mom
being all by yourself.
to being completely by myself. So, and then being really like, and then I just realized there was a lot of like, I had like held on to a lot of trauma because my mom didn't want twins because her mom was sick. It was just like to my mom, it felt like a really bad time to have twins. And they would always tell the story about when they got the ultrasound, how my dad was so excited about twins and my mom started crying. And so I internalized that. And then my grandmother passed away. My mom was pregnant with me and my twin. So she was like really devastated. And so I just like took a lot of that on. And then I just didn't realize like how much of my life I was apologizing for being born, you know?
Yeah, like
and
feeling
really,
like you can't take up space. You don't have a right to be here.
yeah. And I take up so much space. So it's so confusing.
But I think that's like the reaction
Yeah.
to it. Because you're like, I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, but part of you is like, doesn't
Yeah.
feel like you're worthy of it.
I have like all this stuff in my jaw and my neck too. And every time I get work done, someone's always like, that's because like you haven't spoken your truth or whatever. But I always think of myself as
You
always
get
saying
strep throat a lot?
I don't actually get strep throat.
Oh yeah, because I've been practicing yoga for a long time and breathwork stuff, and they always say like, because I have trouble taking up space and being loud, and they're like, and I get strep throat. I used to get it all the time, and they're like, that's because you're like not like
saying you're
like,
keeping like that trauma in and it's poisoning your throat or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, something amazing happened to me last week, and I think it healed me more than I thought anything could in a split second. And all three of us suffer from pretty bad TMJ. Mine is because when I'm nervous, I just clench I don't grind my teeth at night, but I kind of do this. And so I had to go to an orthodontist because I've done just about everything. I've gotten Botox to my masseter, and still that's temporary relief. And I'm like, look, so I was like, okay, let me try an orthodontist. And she came in very like, you know, like everyone was like, you got to see Dr. Yamada. Dr. Yamada is the lady. So I'm like, gonna go see Dr. Yamada.
So excited about a braces Khalyla. That would be so cute to have a braces co-host.
But basically she said these are crowded and the others, the top are spacing. And what your teeth try to do is they try to make a perfect latch. So that causes a lot of just, you know,
tension.
tension stuff. But that wasn't what changed my life. They take a whole like x-ray, right? And they show you your teeth. But what I saw was the end of my life as a skeleton, because all I just saw was my cranium, my jaw. I saw myself as a skeleton, basically. They give you those images. I'll send you the picture.
Oh my God, he's going to jerk off to it. For the show. Okay.
I know. It was like, they have like a prearranged thing.
You got a little jealous. Where the fuck is that tattoo?
But in that moment, I was like, that's how it ends. That's what I'm going to look like at the very end. For me, none of this matters. You think now I give a shit about a fucking comment? I've seen how it ends. That's what the fuck I look like at the end. It's all good. Life is okay.
Skinny, finally. You don't have to diet anymore.
Dude, Annie, my jawline is incredible.
Yes, you're
I'm like,
gorgeous.
oh my God. But it was in that moment where I was like, oh, none of this fucking matters. Like, or at least not the small stuff.
Seeing your
like
skeleton.
Yeah,
she
like a
saw her own death.
life-ending-
She had like a moment.
Yeah. I had a moment of like, oh, that's it. That's me at the end of life. And fuck it all. I'm just going to do me and live in the way that I feel is most authentic to myself.
I feel like hallucinogens always like, I always have this sort of like moment in hallucinogens where I die and everything is released and you're like, oh, everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. All of these worries were nonsense. And I mean, I can't like obviously say that's exactly what happens because I didn't actually die, but I feel like that's what happens when you die.
What are your thoughts about like ketamine assisted therapy or hallucinogens to sort of like aid in someone's therapy?
I think it's great. I'm excited to hear more. I mean, this research is ongoing, so I can't say that I'm like totally abreast of like what they're finding out day in day, but I know that like MAPS is a great resource if you want to go to MAP. They're the ones doing most of the research.
Yeah.
And I think that to me, it doesn't logically make any sense for us to create medications in a lab with pharmaceutical companies, go through this FDA approval and be like, well, that's okay, but this grows in the ground. Fuck that shit.
This grows out of,
right.
And I'm not saying like ketamine grows. Yeah, but like, you know, it doesn't make any sense why we wouldn't do research in that phase either. And like it all should be available to people.
Ketamine's king.
Ketamine
king.
is king. It changed my fucking life.
I do it raver style though. I'm like, ketamine. Love you.
But Annie, will you do me a favor? And I know
Go to a rave and do ketamine with
no,
you?
like take the. Oh, by the way, Katie, we have this thing called banana break, and it's really just as a.
Oh, we didn't even tell her, and she
we just handed her a banana.
You were in a really deep part too. You're like, I saw my own death, and there's just a guy squatting.
He's just like, whatever.
We have this thing called a banana break, where it just breaks the tension in the room, and we do a re-up on potassium.
I don't think we've ever timed it right, to be honest.
Yeah, but you don't have to eat the banana if you don't.
It is interesting. It's just like, you know. It's our little eating disorder galore. Some days we're full, some days we're not.
With the realization,
they tried to give us a cupcake once. That was the end of our fucking life. We almost had to cancel the show.
yeah, people were really upset that we were handed cupcakes and we didn't eat the cupcake because I had just eaten a full meal.
It was 11 in the morning. I just done hot yoga.
It was
Fucking
my
Carlos.
birthday, and I had special dessert plans for later.
Right.
Didn't want
Special dessert.
She was
plans
gonna go
for
have like a
later.
big cake and stuff for her birthday.
Basically, everyone
You can't
said
eat
we
cake
were
twice in one day. That's a no-go.
I could, but I
want to.
didn't want to that day.
But everyone was like, you LA eating disorders. I was like, oh my God. Like when I eat sugar, my stomach hurts later. You know, if I eat like a cupcake, but whatever. I still eat them.
But
It's not in front of you fuckers.
Yeah, I guess if I was completely normal, I would have taken a bite and it would have been chill, but I'm not chill or normal.
What if you just started eating it out? That would be great.
Aggressive cupcaking.
So wait, what did you want? What was the favor?
when I did ketamine afterwards, the realization was that, I've been my mom's workhorse my whole life. It only makes sense that I needed to use horse tranquilizer.
Yes, I was just
to
gonna
get
say,
through a lot of the stuff that was happening to me. I was like, trank my ass. I'm a fucking horse.
You think if we have Whitney on, she'll start riding you? She'll start feeding you apples and riding you.
Feeding bag. Oh my God. I'd love to be brushed by Whitney. That actually sounds like a really
the brushing.
Yeah.
Well, when I was diagnosed tactile defensive when I was little, and they took me to an occupational therapist who
Start touching a little bit.
Yeah, she would do like this like vibrating fuzzy thing on me that looked like a car buffer. And then she gave my mom like a surgical like scrub brush that doctors use. And she would have to scrub me. My ex-boyfriend was always like, oh, what's wrong with our daughter? We should scrub her. Let's scrub her. Yes, that makes sense. Scrub her.
Did it help?
It did help. But it was so uncomfortable. I mean, it was like my least favorite thing on earth. It was like so gross to me.
Why was it you hated touch so much?
I just didn't, I mean, I always say, I'm like, the doctor probably fingered me on the way out. The amount of inappropriate men fingering me in my life. I came out feet first. I bet you just like popped it in and pulled me out. A little Tudurkin, like fingered my mom and me.
Finger your mom.
Oh my God, came out breech, so it went up the ass.
Yes,
And out.
like bing, bing, bing.
It skewered you.
My mom said I came ass first.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cute way to enter the world, Annie.
That's how I'm going to go out too.
I'm almost like, if you're born breech, should you just not tell the kid? Because it's like, why should she have to know
It would be in my life. It would be in me.
Well, there is
Really?
Yeah, you hold on to trauma. Your whole body, the body keeps score.
I know. Halfway through, I do not like it.
It's a very hardcore.
You're like, maybe my neck is fake. The neck pain.
No, but there is a lot to if the way that we're born, first of all, how we enter the world is very important. Hence why people do water births and things like that. I don't know if that's, I don't know if there's research to show like it's less traumatizing. Probably is. But there is a lot of research about like being in an incubator and stuff.
Oh, really?
Or if you have lots of surgeries. Like my brother was born with a cleft lip and palate. And I think being in and out of surgeries when he was little so much was like super traumatizing to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's, that's his own business, but like there's a lot of research about children because you don't get touch, which is probably why you didn't like it, because there was that period where you really needed where they have babies, like put them on their chest, like skin to skin.
Skin to skin.
That's really important.
Yeah, my mom said that I didn't like being hugged, but I loved cuddling with my brother.
Oh,
because that's what you were used to in the womb.
No, Max, call me back. Call me. They're coming to surprise me. I'm so excited. My brother and my sister-in-law, my nieces, I always surprise them because my schedule's so crazy. I don't want to have to cancel on them. So I always like pop out of boxes and do stuff like that.
Fun.
And like, or like the trunk
I
opens.
always pop out.
No, I do. They're gonna like start taking like psychology classes. Like, was Auntie really like how bipolar was Auntie? Popping out of boxes everywhere. Always like in their closet. I did scare the shit out of my niece once because it was after COVID. The first time we saw them, I was like, okay, I don't want to like scare them too much in this box. So we put like a box in the driveway. So I put on my leopard print jacket because they know me as having a leopard print jacket. But my niece didn't think Auntie has a leopard print jacket. She thought a leopard is attacking me. And she had like went into full fight or flight, like her face in the picture. She's like so scared when I popped out. And she came to right away, but it was so funny. It was so funny. But they're coming to see me. And so they don't know that I know and they're going to surprise me.
Oh.
So it's gonna
that
be
is so
You think they're going to pop out of a box?
I think they will. I think there will be a box involved.
I love
giggling.
this family theme.
It is. It's really good.
Oh my God. I literally have a policy in my life, no surprises.
Oh, we stopped talking for 3 years over
know.
one surprise.
I love like the extreme differences of our personality, like flash mob, no flash mob surprise. No, it's like so.
I want my boyfriend to give me a flash mob for my proposal.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
A surprise flash mob.
Do you have, where does one start the journey of repairing themselves if it's like this 0 to 1 emotional neglect? Because I'm like, I'm like irked by that because I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can understand that I got dumped and that fucked me up. I can understand that I was alone in my room and I was bored. I do not understand ages 0 to 1.
I recently read, I'm not done with the book yet, but NPR did a segment about the book Attached. And
I know even the I remember what it looks like on the cover.
Right.
Yeah.
And it talks about just the 4 attachment styles, but he does talk about that very important age of 0 to 1. Like if you were just made, if you were forced to cry it out versus, coddled during that moment.
Yeah, what was that study? What was that study they had with it was with like monkeys, right? And then didn't they have like a fake mom?
The wire mom.
Yeah.
The good enough mother. Yeah, that's like, I did a bunch of videos about like shit that happened in the past. We couldn't do those studies anymore.
Yeah.
Because like animal rights, because man, that breaks your heart to see those little baby monkeys.
I know.
I just like get it out of my head.
I
Wish I
hate
didn't
it.
read it. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of what it is that even if like your mom was bad, I don't mean this as like a put down to her, but she was like the wire mom, the wire monkey. You didn't get the real mom that you needed, the like warm cuddling. Like you didn't get the mom that was like, just take a nap and relax, sweetheart. Like it was like,
Because the thing is in my case, there's so many opposing, confusing things. Like I was breastfed till I was 3.5. Neither of my parents worked the first 7 years.
Some might call that sexual abuse.
The first 7 years of my life, both parents were always home. They never left to go to work. So like, that's where I get even more confused.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. So a couple things. So we'll talk about like, what's your first step like to move out of this? And it sounds like Annie's kind of done some of this stuff already. So she's doing good. So when it comes to parents being around, it's not just them being around. The thing about emotional neglect, I think is so hard for people to like tangibly grasp is that them being there, feeding you, putting a roof over your head, probably, I mean, we need that. Those are all like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You need those basic needs to be met. But as you get up to the peak of those needs, some of them for you were probably like to feel heard and understood or soothed in a certain way. And like, there was none of that. So you probably didn't get the like, let me play with her hair and tell her how much I love her and let me tell her about my day or
But
whatever.
maybe if I drink out of this bowl, she will.
Literally, because I also always say I wasn't raised, I was watched.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like they knew where I was safe, but no one.
and no one interacted with you.
Yes.
And you probably wanted that more than anything.
Yes. And I would even ask questions and they would always say, I don't know. Like I would be like, where do babies come from? I don't know. Is Michael Jackson a man or a woman? I don't know. No one answered me.
Oh, you never ask those questions together. That's a bad answer. Really not a good one.
So you went through that whole phase where kids asking, no one would answer you. They say, I don't know.
Breath work, baby.
You know,
you gotta do breath work.
What
breath
helped
work,
for
breath
Bobby a lot was when he went to this 1 week trauma intensive in Arizona, and they make you go to Build-A-Bear, and they make you record something that kind of makes you feel like this bear is the wounded child.
Mm-hmm.
And so you carry this bear around, and it's still at his house, and anytime he feels like his inner child is like suffering, or he can like go to that bear and he can give that bear what the bear never had, and it's very healing for him.
Like
It's almost like
nice
he can.
tits.
Does that make sense? Where it's
Totally. Yes.
It's called inner child work. So that's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
where it's a big first step, but that's really what you could do. Like, I love the Build-A-Bear.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the book, but there's a book that I've used, and I put together an inner child workshop a few months ago. But write in your dominant hand, like the one that you write in. So I'm left-handed, as adult you to little you. And then write back in your non-dominant hand from little Esther. to talk to.
Journaling can be fucking wild. I have definitely been answered in my journaling. I've
Or
never
if you
tried it with
read
the other
old
hand.
ones, you're like,
Yeah.
sometimes you see into parts of yourself that maybe you can't, it might not feel safe enough to think about it on the regular, or it also just might not be accessible all the time.
I
But
feel
that
that.
could be helpful for you.
I feel that in my chest, because it's like you're writing with your left hand, and it's not as stable, and it does look like a
kid,
child.
yeah.
But it's so sweet.
Mm-hmm. And then you get to ask for what you wanted. Like, what did you wish your mom and dad did? Answered your questions, rubbed your back, played with your
one
hair.
game.
Yeah, anything, right? Write down some of the things and then
That's how I
ask
felt
for
in
it.
Hawaii about you.
One
I wish you'd play one game with me.
Do you know you missed out that day? We went to the Mormon temple, Annie and I.
We did a whole photo shoot. I had my ass out at the Mormon temple.
Yeah.
Fucking joints.
I think I was. I don't even remember.
watching the news.
Yeah. Probably. I also do want to clarify, because first of all, I'm like unlocking so much, and I'm really, really excited about it. I want to clarify though. I know that my parents did their best, and I do not hold any of this against them. And like, I know that my mom was and it's almost like just reaffirming things I've always known, but you are a therapist and you say them so clearly. And like, I feel so seen and heard by this conversation. But I know that my parents did a good job in the best. They did the best they could. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and parents, it's like having a certain set of tools that you're working with. But they weren't always the ones you needed.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
also, like, I always think about this too, like, just generationally, like, we're evolving so much because of the internet and so much information can come out. But it was like they had like so many different parenting tools, right? They had like Dr. Spock was like, what, that was like, what, the 70s or 60s?
I think the early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, so all the philosophies, like I was really lactose intolerant and my parents didn't realize. So they would like feed me all this milk, and then I had all these shitting problems and constipation and stuff, which was like really traumatic as a kid. But it just wasn't like, lactose intolerance wasn't like a thing people
Why
were like
would they
talking
know?
about all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't be like mad at them.
They're working. They're trying to raise
and they're
3
told
kids.
like, yeah, they're like calcium is good for kids, you know?
Yeah, they're
they're
being
like,
marketed to.
Yeah.
Drink more, eat more. And you're like, well.
But it's like, we're in a really cool position that if we do decide to have kids, we do have like we have learned a lot. We have evolved a lot.
Totally. And two things can exist. I think this is the struggle, especially with stuff like that and just things in our life where we can know our parents did their best or that they loved us. And we can also acknowledge that it wasn't the way that I needed it, or that was still hurtful.
Yeah.
And those things can exist at the same time. For some reason, we feel like it's one or the other, but like that's life. Like people think differently. Like people are able to give you different things. And then this is maybe this is your expectation. This is what they're able to give. And we have to try to like grieve that difference and be like, okay, that's what you can offer. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, and then I get to process what that felt like. Like, okay, I can still be upset. My parents did the best they could. I know they loved me, but I also recognize that like I needed to be heard more. I needed to feel seen more.
And then you can like,
I needed to
see
rest more.
and like hear yourself more. Like whatever it is, like I always feel like whatever I'm not getting from a relationship with someone else, I do when I really like break it down and think of a spam. Great. Oh, Tim Dillon. Never mind, spam Tim Dillon. But he's eating spam. But like whatever it is that I'm like lacking in a relationship is really something I just need to give myself. Like it has to come from me anyway for it to really matter. So it's like if I'm pissed that someone isn't listening to me or whatever, I just have to like sit and really like be with myself and listen to myself.
I like to think
Good
of.
stuff.
Thanks. I'm doing a lot. I just came back from an ayahuasca retreat too. I didn't even tell you guys that.
Oh, that's right.
No, we can't say. Out.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have already said it. But
I think you said in the
Outside
last
the
one.
universe.
it was Peru.
I like to, when I think about my mom or where I'm at least in my life, I like to think about it as, oh, I bore witness to her evolution. And she went from scared, young mom, not giving me anything I need, to being an amazing person today, and really, not perfect, and but it's kind of cool. I feel honored that I got to see this person evolve, and she is my mother. She's this 3D thing. She's just not mom. She is this human being that has lived a very complex life, and to see her now in her 60s being just someone I can't recognize, my young self could never recognize, is really soothing for me.
Yeah, your mom's really cool. It's so nice, like going to that 4th of July party at your house and your mom's just there, like so like, I don't know, she's so down. She's like a fan of yours.
She is, and she's like, just completely
Your parents
different.
too are like fans. I feel like all of our parents are like fans of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they really pay attention to what we're doing. And
I feel so good about my relationship with my family right now. Like I just feel, especially because there's been more space in the last year, I feel like I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
And you talking about your mom, I'm like, I really almost just started crying, like thinking about what our moms have gone through and how I don't know. I just, in general, I think our culture is hard on motherhood. It's very difficult. And like, I think about my mom and I'm like, she was pregnant at 21, not with me, but with my sister, but pregnant at 21, 9 months pregnant, was being cheated on.
Shit.
9 months. I'm like, imagine if you heard if that was a girlfriend of yours, you'd be,
I'd be like, I'll murder him. Where is he? Right?
But like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that makes me feel like my mom is stronger than me. Like I'm like, I don't know. And I don't know. I'm like holding love and space and support and respect for that or something.
Also, like her mom, like whatever her mom went through, like she had to handle the burden of that as well. It's like we're like carrying on like all of the sort of trauma from our, I don't want to say ancestral trauma because I make fun of
generational trauma.
I make fun of Whitney for saying that.
She said ancestral.
She says, I don't know what she says, but I made a joke on her thing where I said, if you say whatever, it doesn't matter. But you do. And it's like, and it's just, even if it's just like learned behavioral or just like literally in our DNA when we're born, we're like taking on some of that, this
is a total like different departure from the whole trauma thing. But I recently learned this term. I was listening to my friend Shanti Sharan. She has a new podcast out, but she talks about this word called compersion, which is like the opposite of jealousy. And it's basically like, the way she explained it is like, you go to the bathroom, you're in a bar with your fiance, let's say Dave, and you come back, you go to the bathroom, you come back and you see that there's this beautiful woman hitting on him. And you see, instead of being like, ugh, you recognize that, you know what, he is setting up like proper boundaries. He's not like giving into the attention, but I know that he probably does enjoy this moment, and I'm happy for him.
I do feel that.
Yeah.
I really
I love.
I
would
feel like I know I saw a good thing.
Yeah. I'm like, and try to enjoy
I already,
it. I'm gonna make shirts that say I have a crush on Todd and sell them.
Oh, that's so
No, but I do kind of, I
ayahuasca.
feel like I'm leveling up to that place where I think Annie and I, we've talked about it, where it kind of feels good when someone hits on your man and you're like, oh, this is probably like feeding him in some way, even though he'll never say it. And I just kind of want to be happy for that moment because it's not a threat to our relationship. It's just a fleeting thing.
But it's because you're secure in it too. I think jealousy comes out of insecurity, right? It doesn't come out of like, I really think my man or my girl's going to cheat on me. It's more like, I don't trust in our relationship.
Right.
I'm not secure in it.
And then you'll hear people that are like, well, I just don't trust the women. And it's like, well,
It takes two. I don't know.
there's no way you can get cheated on in a vacuum.
That's like a sad excuse. That I'm trying to run away from or something. Yeah, the reality. Yeah, Dave is like I feel like my current partner is my first real secure attachment. And it's like, whoa.
Was it uncomfortable at first?
Yeah, it was not secure for the first few years because I was still, myself, but it was like through
Still Esther.
through repeated, like, I don't know, him being who he said he was repeatedly. I like just it happened.
The consistency was like healing for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I again with the NPR attached, the book attached, there was this thing he said that really spoke to me, which is, it's kind of been put in our head all these years. Like, if you can't love yourself, you can't possibly love another. But he was like, no, you can really learn to love yourself in a relationship when you are with someone who's secure and someone like, for instance, like Dave, like there is almost like a lot of epiphanies you have when you're with someone like who is really healthy. And
or even good or bad epiphanies. Like, I think some bad relationships have taught me a lot about myself.
Oh, yeah.
And been like,
every single one has taught me something.
Yeah, and you're like, what the hell was I thinking with that? Or like, why was that so triggering?
Yeah, instead of like blaming that person, it's like, why did I allow myself to be treated? Like, what was I feeling in my own self-esteem where I thought I deserved that treatment rather than this is like a monster? And
and like, why didn't I go on one date and be like, no? Yeah.
That way of life is helpful in many ways, and I like it because it takes you out of victim mentality and it puts you in the driver's seat of your own life.
I love that. And that's the important thing is that but it's that people want to blame everybody else, and that's a really powerless place to be. Yeah. Because then you're like, well, I'm just a victim to what everybody else decides to do, so I have no control. That's like the worst thing.
A good life.
No, it's better to like be in control, and then you feel like, well, then I can make changes. Then I'm empowered to like improve my life doing whatever I feel is going to make me feel like a better version.
I have a friend in my life who is that, but not currently at like pointing the gun at me, but it's like people who they're always the victim. Life is out to get them and life is always screwing them over. Like which is part of why I'm inspired to.
I just had a gun. I was like, I have to do it. I'm like looking at a gun.
It's actually being exposed to that has helped me not want to blame others, because it's so easy to be like, it's everybody's fault. But like, I want to be in the driver's seat. Do you have advice on how to encourage others to get in the driver's seat of their own life? Or is me even asking that, it's like, you can't do anything, so just let it go?
I mean, mostly you can't do anything. Only thing we can do is just lead by demonstration. So like, you doing what you're doing is enough. Like, it sucks, and I have to remind myself, but we can't control other people. Even when we want to do it with love. Like, this would be so much better for you if you would just stop blaming everybody. Or this would be so much better for you if you just wouldn't like lash out randomly at people. Then you'd actually have friends. Or you know what I mean? Like, we can see things unraveling, but we just have to do our thing. If they ask, you can support good decisions. Like, if they're like, oh, hey, how do you think I handled that or whatever? You're like, you handled it terribly. Like, you can be honest. You know what I mean? But that's about it. It's only if they ask. And it sucks, I know.
Yeah.
Well, shit, this has been a very healing episode, I think.
Know. This is like the most energized I've ever felt after a recording. Like, I just feel like, I have so much information and I feel understood. And thank you.
Yay, good. I know you need that feel heard and understood part.
And good color. You picked a good color. Thanks. Did you know what the set looked like?
I looked it up.
Yeah, this was very good choice. Very good choice.
It's a holy color.
Well, it's
Catholics
very in right
love
now.
purple.
That's the color for Versace for this season.
Eggplant.
Well, Katie, thank you so much.
Katie,
of course.
And you mentioned that you have workshops.
Yeah, books, workshops. I should have brought stuff for you.
Oh, I have your book,
Such an asshole.
Traumatized.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
And we can find you on Instagram and TikTok.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah,
cool.
Kati Morton, KATIMORTON. And that's my website too. So people do want the workshops, you just go to KatiMorton.com.
Thank you so much. And I hope that you'll come back regularly.
Of course.
Even.
Esther's like, maybe once a week for an hour and talk to me about my trauma.
The last time we had Dr. Drew on a couple months ago, and he was just so fatigued after listening to our bullshit.
Oh, I forgot about that.
No, Khalyla, by the way, he's a doctor. Like, he checks your knee. Like, we were like, we're molested. He like checks to see if your reflexes are good. He like has like a stethoscope. We were like, there's fisted us as children.
He's both.
No, I know he's that too. I know he's
in
that
my
too.
realm.
Yeah.
I got you on the fisting.
But we were like on the edge of our seat, like, it'd be like, are you done? Are you done? Okay. But then what happened to me? I'm like, but me.
Like, Annie and I were in a fist off.
It was great.
He's coming back.
Fisted down the lane is what we call it. It's
These episodes are always so just cathartic for us. And the last time Dr. Drew, like, he was like, all right, I'm done. And we were like, no, don't leave.
Papa, don't go.
Now we're doing it to her.
We're going to do
it. You guys, thank you so much for listening. And thank you to Katie for all that she just did for us. And we will see you next week with an all new episode.